Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Now, keeping within the subject matter today, we'll be focusing on work permits. But what I want to do is I went through a number of possible options, especially for those who may be out of status here and in need of relief to get the work permit. So now what I want to do is I want to this won't be a long live because I have to jump into another appointment, but I want to spend all of this time looking at your questions about getting the work permit. So go ahead, put your question. It can be anything that's immigration related, but I'd really like to hear from some of you with questions about how to get the work permit. So maybe we can clear up some misconceptions that you may be having or help to push you in the right direction in regard to where you need to go to get help. Before I start, just make sure you know that this is not personalized legal advice, this is general information. So you need to make sure if you want personalized legal advice that you click on the link in the profile or on the link in the description of the video to be able to access the link to schedule your own appointment, or you could go to the website and then call the office and they'll be more than happy to help you. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. This can be anything that's immigration related, but if you want to know about the work permit, all right. So I see some questions coming in here on TikTok. Thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to be moving quickly because I do have an appointment at 1, so I have to head out at 1 exactly. I came at 17, just filed for my naturalization, and it said I may be a citizen already. So that's a possibility. If you were under 18, which it sounds like you were under 18, and your parent was a citizen or became a citizen at the time that you were a permanent resident, then you could already be a citizen. In that case, you'd apply for your certificate of citizenship to show you're a citizen. How long does it usually take to get a work permit after biometrics, T visa? So the biometrics I'm seeing all over the place with the T visa too. So lately I've been seeing that the biometrics are even coming a month before I get an approval. So we'll wait a whole like 11 months and then we get the biometrics appointment, and then a month later the decision comes through. So I would say count from the time of the filing, which you would be getting your decision at around the 1 year mark. But keep in mind that processing times are different just depending on what's required for your case. So I do tell my clients to prepare for processing times that could be as little as 6 months, but as long as 18 months, could be longer. We as lawyers don't have control over that. But I can tell you based on my experience, most come through in 1 year. Can we travel on a boat with a travel document? So, yes, you can use that. So, you can go, it's not just for planes, it's for any way that you're going to leave the country and come back in. So, say you want to go on a cruise, just make sure that wherever you're going to, you have valid documents to be able to go to that country too, because the travel document doesn't give you the permission to go to other countries. You may need visas for other countries. It just allows you to get back in upon returning and you want to get back in. After applying, I got my work permit within 2 weeks. How long after will I get my green card? So it depends on what type of application. If this is family based, then it could range from anywhere from 5 months in as little as 5 months, but can go even over a year. It just depends on what's required here. EAD based on asylum, applied November 28th, got receipt notice, but still no decision after more than a month. Make sure that you're applying 150 days after you file the asylum application, and they really cannot issue that work permit until after 180 days after you've applied. So we'd have to look at whether all of that, you met all those requirements. Is a travel document the same as a permanent resident card? No, the permanent resident card gives you permission to live here in the US permanently. And then you can continue to renew that every 2 years or every 10 years, depending on what kind of card you got. The travel document is for people who are applying for the permanent resident. You don't really have an official status yet, and you need that travel document to get back into the country. How long does a J1 waiver take? It could take, right now, I'm seeing even over a year for those waivers to come through. When VAWA is approved, how long does it take to get the green card? So you should estimate about a year and a half afterwards to, so anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half. Keep in mind, though, these are estimates based on my experience. It does not mean that as soon as a year and a half comes, you need to run to immigration to say you didn't get it yet. It really depends, but those are the timelines. I'm just looking through to see F1 students who have graduated with a degree and then planning on doing OPT, how to get the work permit and stay in the US. So you need to make sure that you talk to your DSO, this is the designated student officer, to make sure you're meeting deadlines because you must apply for the OPT before you graduate. So make sure you are talking to the DSO about those timelines before your graduation. Now, with the OPT will allow you to stay and work here. After the OPT, if you have a STEM degree, then you could possibly get an extension of that OPT for another 2 years. But just getting the work permit after that, or getting a work permit unrelated to your OPT, is it depends on your particular circumstances and qualifications. F1 student that has a child with F2, how easy it is to get green card since child will be a US citizen since born in the US. So none of that qualifies you for the green card. The F1 doesn't qualify you for the green card, nor does having a US citizen child until that US citizen child turns 21. So this is where it's important to just, figure out your options. But F1 or having a US citizen child who's under 21 is not going to get you the green card. Can a person be barred from the US if they overstayed by 7 days on a temporary work visa? Possibly. So what's going to happen? You won't be barred, as in they're not going to have issue any paper saying you are barred for 10 years. But what will happen is you'll sort of become blackballed when you go back to renew your visa, or when you try to go on the plane to fly back to the US, they could tell you your visa is canceled, and they are not because of the overstay. So that's the consequence there. All right, let's look here. And then I have to head out. So, hi, what are the first documents a person should send in after marriage based? So if you need to get representation, there's a number of documents, and it is a very tedious preparation process. The most important are the forms and evidence of your bona fide marriage, but there's also evidence of sufficient income by the spouse. And if you want a work permit, you have to submit those as well. So my EAD is expired, but my job says I'm good to work. How do I renew my driver's license? So that might be up to your boss to say they're willing to overlook the EAD and keep you working, but that may not be the same as for the DMV. So that's going to depend on what's going on with the EAD. But with an expired EAD that you're not in the middle of renewing, the DMV is going to have more stringent requirements. They're not going to overlook an expired work permit. unless they're in a state that they don't really care about a work permit. It depends on what state you're in. Can I apply for a work permit after overstaying my visitor's visa? Generally, no. But what I do is just overstaying, and this is going to be my last answer to the question, because it's an important question. But here's the answer to this: if just by virtue of overstaying, you cannot get a work permit. Can you imagine if everybody decided to overstay their visa so they could get a work permit? Then the system would be inundated. We'd have immigrants overstaying left, right, and violating the terms of their visa. So no, you can't overstay and then get a work permit. But what I do as an attorney is there are situations where a client has faced circumstances or has family members that it does qualify them to apply for the work permit despite the overstay. So I look for those options for my clients. But if you're sitting there and you're thinking, let me overstay, I can always get a work permit, think again. Think again. But I'm saying that I want to make sure that I help those who can be helped despite the overstay happening, all right, where we can fix the situation. So if you want to figure out now, this is where we have to figure out whether you qualify. Um, this is where the consultation is going to be very, very important. All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for your time. Tomorrow I'll come back and I can answer more questions. I think I'm going to stay with this topic tomorrow and give it more time so everybody can have a chance to have their answers, the answers to their questions about the work permit or about any other immigration thing you're thinking about. So tomorrow we'll continue this. In the meantime, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.